Hi everybody, my name is Roberto Flores and I'm here with Horseman's Conversation. We're going to be talking today about bolting horses. Today I have my brother here, Johnny Flores, who helps me a lot here on the ranch and with horses. So hi there, Johnny.
Hello. How are you today?
Good. So we're gonna be talking about bolting horses, and what I think a bolting horse is a horse that likes to clamp down on that bit and just take off, and has more of a go than a whoa, and that they have just such a stiff neck that it's really hard to get them to flex to the side and get that one rein stop or get that slow down kind of mentality. And then I think with that Hackamore, it's the same thing, but they have that bosal, so they've learned to just be dull with it and not respect it at all and just go through it. But what's your opinion on what defines a bolting horse?
Well, same as what you said. Like, they're not going to respect the bosal, they're not going to one rein, but just the fact that you have no control and they are getting faster and faster, and they're not stopping anytime soon, especially if you're out in the open. But it's about the same thing as what you would say.
Okay.
But what would you do with a bolting horse?
So when I'm going to assess a horse, I'll first ask, like, why is he bolting?
Okay.
And I wouldn't ask the owner and I wouldn't ask the horse, obviously, but I would ask myself what is causing this horse to bolt. And I'll check during the assessment. I'll check, does that horse flex? And usually for assessments, I check all of this stuff, but I would go straight to, does this horse flex his head to the left and to the right? Okay. Because that could be one reason why they continue to go. I want that hind end to disengage really nicely. I want their shoulders to move when I ask them to. And then I do want them to go forward. I want to see how they go forward, because I've seen some horses that like to bolt, they actually get a little sticky when they go forward. So then when I go back to that lead line and I'm still doing that whole assessment, I'll kind of put all those things in place. And when I'm getting the horse to go in a circle while on that lead line, I'll ask him to stop. And 7 times out of 10, if it's a bolting horse, they'll take forever to either look at you and stop, or they'll just continue looking at the direction that they're going instead of stopping. And then back to the whole flexing, I want to make sure that they do it super nice and supple, and their head goes all the way to that cinch or that stirrup. When I go to the other side, they're not hesitating to do it again. So what about you? What do you look for in assessing a horse, or when you have a horse that likes to bolt? Because I know that you like, and you study a lot on the mechanics and just tack in general. As for let's put the bit stuff on hold. What about with a Hackamore, I guess?
Well, with a Hackamore, assuming you're on the horse, what you do with it is doubling, and what that is a sharp bump to the side closest to the fence. So obviously you want to put a little bit of distance, maybe 6 feet, 10 feet between you and that fence, and just one sharp bump, maybe 1, 2, 3. But you don't want to ever have a steady pull, never, because then your horse learns, he'll pull it, and he's way bigger than you. He'll always win that fight. So you'll do that, and you'll engage their hind, causing them to throw. If it's effective, they'll throw their head, their neck, and their shoulders the other way, and they'll turn 180. Then you do it the other way again, and you try whatever you're doing, loping, trotting, whatever. Yeah,
I really do like the Hackamore. I think when I do have a problem with a horse that does bolt, I don't want them to ever know that Hackamore is really just kind of like a bluff, and that they can really just go if they wanted to, because they can, and definitely they can, because they weigh a lot and they have more muscle in their neck than we have in our whole body. But I don't want them to ever learn that about that with that bosal. So I do like you said, bump them with that.
What do you do with the bit? What's your procedure?
So I do like the snaffle bit. I do use both. As a snaffle, so it is a direct bit. Let me just make sure I look at just remember what was going on. So so if we're talking about a snaffle, you do the whole typical one rein stop. And a lot of people know what that is, and I guess if you don't know what that is, it's when your horse is they're going forward, and you're trying to, I'm just trying to think here. So your horse is going forward, your horse bolts, and you're trying to get your horse to stop. So you slide let's say your left hand down as far as you can, and you just yank their nose all the way to, your pocket of your jeans or your thigh, and you just wait for them to slow down until they stop. But then I sometimes think, because there is those cases where horses won't stop. And either they're going so fast that if you do that one rein stop, they're just not going to listen. Or if you do that one rein stop and you just yank, they're going to tip over.
Yeah.
And a lot of people and horses, they obviously can't afford that. So I like to do what I did with this one client of mine. And that was the horse started to go and she was a little bit too slow on getting that horse to come back with me. The reason why I say that is because I got on the horse after and I could feel that horse would come back. But some people don't have the strength to do that. So what would you do? And what I do is if they go forward, I would just bump a little bit, kind of like how you do with the Hackamore. I'll bump them and then you get some direction going and then you let them go again. And then you bump them again so you get another direction and then you let them go. So you're not letting them think that they're being confined, but you're still building that control in that direction. And once you got that, you got a smaller space than what you had before, which is just a straight line.
Yeah.
And then you just do that again. You just bump, let go, and then you got a smaller space, and then you got your horse stopped.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. When I was working with my horse Draco, he's very hot.
Yeah.
I put him in a Hackamore after being correctional for a while, and he kept wanting to take off. And I tried what you said, confining them to a smaller space and smaller, but no like one reins or pulling or anything.
Yeah.
And that kind of worked. And then
this was a Hackamore.
Yeah, this was a Hackamore. Sorry. And then later on, I tried doubling, and that kind of worked, but he just didn't associate like the taking off sucks and you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So one thing that I did, and I found this to be successful in the
Yeah.
arena, he took off. I stayed calm. My hands were still. I wasn't cueing. I wasn't holding on nothing, and I let him take off. Took off maybe 4 laps in the arena, and then asked if we could slow down. I said no. You asked to go fast. So we went another 4 laps, and by then he was very tired. His nostrils were flaring.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, now we can stop. And I did that maybe twice, and then that whole week, didn't want to take off at all. There's no need for speed.
Yeah,
So,
I had to do that actually with the colt that I was starting with, where we were about to, we just had maybe a solid 5 rides on her, and she kind of got the gist of everything. She still had that typical colt filly drunk walk where they didn't know how to go straight, but we started to go into that lope, and that horse, she actually started to go a little bit too fast, and I could tell that if we let this keep on going, she's going to be becoming that typical bolting horse.
Yeah.
So I did exactly what you're saying you did, and that's just letting her go in that circle. I didn't drive her into that circle. I just kept letting her go, and I built that direction. So if she wanted to go, I let her. And then the moment, just like you did with Draco, the moment that she decided to stop, I pushed again, and then she was like, okay, now I'm done. And then that's when she stopped.
Yeah.
So I do think that head stalls are one reason why a horse would the tack can be involved with it.
Yeah.
I do also think that there's other equipment that can come into play, where it's your spur.
Yeah. Using it too much, or your saddle fit, or them just getting spooked by a rabbit or a lizard behind them.
Right. Yeah.
Fear.
What are so I think that some reasons are like a person the way they sit. If they sit a little bit too far forward, they can really drive that horse going, and they're like, what's going on, when really it's not the horse's fault to you. You're telling the horse to go forward. As for tack, because I know you love like reading about it, we talked about the head stall. What are some other stuff you think?
Well,
like the spurs, I guess. I kind of touched on that.
Yeah, if someone who's inexperienced or even a kid uses big spurs or sharp spurs, that is going to hurt the horse. You're poking them on the side, and they're going to be like, ow, and they're going to keep going.
Yeah.
Another major thing that can affect the horse bolting is tack. If the saddle doesn't fit right, or if whatever he's using on his face he doesn't really like. But the biggest thing I feel, my personal opinion, is rider error. They could be sitting too far forward, holding on too tight with their legs. Their energy could be up here when they want their horse down here.
Yeah.
A lot of it depends on the rider.
I went to that Sandy Collier clinic, and she was telling somebody to do something, and that person was like, oh, my horse is so sensitive, or oh, my horse is worried or nervous or anxious, and she's not usually like this.
Yeah.
And Sandy said something that is just so common that I think a lot of people need to hear more, and it's not that it's the horse, it's you. Like you're saying, it's the rider error. You're the one that's causing the horse to maybe want to bolt. So yeah, there's that. With that rider error, I think the bad habit of it too is, or not the bad habit, is that a lot of your horse could have been really good, and then you instilled this one thing, and that one thing you did it again and again, and you did a % this day, a % that day. By the end of the month, you had a 30% worse horse in that a bad habit.
Yeah.
So now you have a bad habit in that horse, and you want to make sure that you kind of eliminate that. There was a horse that I was working with, and the owner just did something just a couple of times, and then that horse built a really bad habit that I had to break for 2 weeks, and it was really difficult. So I think a lot of it is the horse was good, but you did something that let the horse go away a little fast. Yeah. Then the horse went a little faster again the next day, and the horse is probably like, hey, she's letting me do this, or he's letting me do this, and then there you got a bolting horse.
Yeah, and also like building off what you said, you have to judge the severity of that problem. If that horse is going to take off every time you approach a cancer, or if that horse only takes off when a lizard goes behind it. Like you have to, if your horse does it a lot, you really need to nip it in the bud, work in a round pin, and build that respect, build the groundwork, all the stuff that we've been talking about. If your horse just did it once, maybe be a little bit cautious, but don't take such drastic measures.
Yeah, just being realistic of where your horse is at. If your horse is scared of something, your horse probably was just scared of something. Exactly. Keep it in mind. Maybe your horse wasn't scared of anything. You're like, what the heck? Sometimes we've ridden like that, where it's like, why did my horse just go like out of nowhere? Or maybe the horse is going faster. But I do think you want to be realistic with your horse for sure.
Yeah.
So like with that said, I think that making sure you have a lot of patience with your horse, and there's something else I did want to say. So yeah, just being realistic with where your horse is at, and I really think that that kind of wraps it up for us. If you have anything else to say about bolting horses.
Well, just to have patience, this problem, it doesn't get eliminated in one shot in one day. You're not going to fix it. You might have to do it a couple times, and if your horse is bad, you might have to spend a whole month fixing it. But yeah, just patience, and
I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, not getting mad too, because your horse feels all that,
Yeah, being realistic and being just really patient is going to go a long way. Knowing where your horse is at, and just breathe. Don't get too angry. If your horse does something wrong, correct it, then forgive them and move on, because they're going to know when you're staying mad about it. So if you have more questions, we're able to nip some of the things in the bud about bolting horses. Again, the whole saying of it depends, it really comes into play because there's just so many different kinds of horses out there. So if you guys have questions, comment down below. Again, this is Johnny. This is our take on bolting horses and how we kind of handle it. Hopefully that helps you out. Helps you out. If you have more questions about any other kinds of things, ask us. We'll be happy to help you. Alrighty, God bless.